Welcome to ICSE and WBBSC English Solution by Sudipta sir. Here you will get ICSE and ISC computer application with Blue J by Mamita ma'am. This is our innovative production of Prudence coaching. So subscribe our channel now for the latest updates. Today's topic, ICSE English Language Sample Question Paper Solution 2020. Students, here you will get complete guidelines with the best method of writing answers in ICSE Language Paper 2020. So don't skip the video, watch out the full video so that you can understand everything and you get the best method. So carry on. Let's start our journey today. All the best, students. This is English language paper, which is also known as English paper 1. The total duration for your exam is 2 hours and full marks is 80. The instruction that you need to remember are: answers to this paper must be written on the paper provided separately. That means during exam, the answer sheet will be provided by the board. For this, you have to wait. You will not be allowed to write during the first 15 minutes. It means for the first 15 minutes, you will just have a look on the question paper. You can't write anything on the given answer sheet. This time to be spent in reading the question paper. As I mentioned already, the time given at the head of this paper is the time allowed for writing the answers. That means in each question there will be the marked time which you need to maintain. Otherwise, you will not get enough time to complete your answers. So, let's start today's journey. The instruction that you can see on the screen will be provided on the question paper. So, let's understand this. Attempt all 5 questions. It means there will be 5 questions in total in your question paper. The intended marks for questions or parts of questions are given in brackets. You are advised to spend not more than 30 minutes in answering question 1 and 20 minutes in answering question 2. Question number 1. Students, you need to complete these questions within 30 minutes and the maximum number of word limits is 300 to 350 words. Before the beginning of this question, we will go for certain points that will help us in our exam. We need to know about the types of composition which are in our ICSE. Number 1 is descriptive composition. Number 2, narrative. Number 3, argumentative. Number 4, short story. And number 5 is picture composition. What is descriptive composition? A descriptive composition is related to any kinds of description about any place, scenario, person or any object or your hobby. Next, there is narrative composition. It is a flashback of the past which is directly or indirectly related to any person or a place. Next, there will be argumentative composition. In an argumentative composition, you need to provide certain logical instructions which will clear your point of view whether you are answering in positive or negative aspects. It means whether you are supporting the statement or not supporting the statement. That means you need to write either in support or against the given statement. Next, there will be short story and you have to write the short story based on any living or non-living characters. Here you will need to create some plots or any incidents. Next, there will be picture composition. You will be provided a certain picture and you need to develop a story or a description about the given picture in your question paper. Now go back to the question. Here the question is, pride comes before a fall. Write an original story about this given statement. We need to understand this question before the beginning of the question. This is a kind of proverb and it means that if you become too much overconfident, then you will face some kinds of blunder in your life or you will made a big mistake in your life. We have to develop this phrase with a certain point of view or with a original story. Now While writing a story, you need to remember that you should mention a title before writing the story. Now we'll start. Nikhil Sharma was the principal of the St. Paul's High School, Dehradun. He was a very efficient and skillful character with his innate ability to dictate all the proceedings of the institute, but not accessing the dignity and self-respect of other officials and teaching staff of the institution. He used to take up all decisions regarding the management and functioning of the school with due care and discussion with his supporting staff, especially his friends whom he used to trust much. However, he turned out to be a big proud of his achievement, skill and power, which generated in him a sense of pride, and he started doing all the work of the institution with full care and dedication, but at the same time overlooking the necessary discussion with his core members. Mr. Sharma was a real friend to Mr. Khanna. About a certain project that could have taken the institution to the height of success or degraded it to the level of destruction, Mr. Khanna came right to Mr. Sharma and advised him with specific clues not to go ahead with it further. But Mr. Sharma was too proud to pay respect to his most reliable friend Mr. Gupta's advice. He went ahead with the sensitive project of signing a contract with a company regarding building construction. He took up all the responsibility on his shoulder. Ironically, what transpired at the middle of the project was that the company started cheating the institution, taking advantage of the situation with high level of reasoning and certain unethical powers behind them. Mr. Sharma now realized that he should have discussed Mr. Gupta about the pros and cons of the agreement, but out of pride he didn't do it. As a result, in the next meeting, the officials of the school authority blamed him for the loss of huge amount of money and temporarily suspended him from the institution. Mr. Sharma was ashamed of his misdeeds, but it was too late to mend his faults. Pride indeed invariably comes before the fall. Question 1b. Recently, the Chief Minister of your state has visited your school as the chief guest of the annual function. Write an article for your school magazine describing his or her visit. Now here the word describing is most important because through this word you can easily recognize that this is one of the descriptive compositions, and in the descriptive composition you will find this another word describe. So through these words you can easily identify the descriptive compositions. While you are writing any composition, you should mention the title. Here we have said the title annual function in school. Now we will start the story. This year, as the much awaited school annual function drew near, we were informed that the Honorable Human Resource Development Minister would be visiting our school as the chief guest. At about 4 p.m., 10 cars rolled into our school campus and halted in front of the school office. Then a smart commando descended from one of the cars and went forward to open the door of the car. While all his colleagues stood in position, the Honorable Minister descended from his car gracefully and waved at everyone. The Honorable Minister was adorned with a garland. He courteously joined his hands before everyone. He was then led into the compound where he had to inaugurate an exhibition. After this, all of us rushed back to our respective positions. I was in charge of the English exhibition. As he walked into the room, I could feel my heart was pounding. But when he addressed me as my little friend, I feel my fears gradually dissipate. He walked around the room asking me various questions about the charts on display. After that, we all gathered at the auditorium for the cultural program. Soon the program started. The Honorable Minister sat on his special chair beside the principal of our school. There were various cultural programs ranging from classical songs to drama. Some skits were also performed by the students. The minister seemed to be thoroughly enjoying the program. Finally, when the program was over, our principal asked him to give a short speech. He went up and delivered a very short speech. He humorously commented that we all must have been feeling tired by then, and he didn't wish to aggravate the tiredness. He thanked the school staff and the students for being very lovely hosts. He also said that our school is one of the best schools in the country. Finally, he bade goodbye and left the campus. This is the ending of question number B. Next comes the narrative composition. And here this word narrate clearly explains to you that this is narrative description. Question number 1C. Narrate your experience when you are left alone in the house to look after your little sister. So here you need to explain your horrible or terrible experience or your happy moments that you have spent with your little sister in your house when you are left alone and your parents were not there. Students, you should remember that a narrative composition is a flashback of your past experience. So while writing a narrative composition, you must have to be careful about dividing your composition into minimum 4 or 5 paragraphs so that it can clearly states your experience or the plot of the story clearly. So let's start. Here the title is One Dreadful Night with My Little Sister. It was dinner time when the telephone rang suddenly. As my mother responded to the telephone call, her face grew pale. She put down the phone and told us that my grandfather had an accident and he was struggling for his life in the hospital. My parents got dressed hurriedly. After dinner, father asked me to take care of my little sister that night, as they would have to leave for the hospital. After they left, I locked the main entrance. It was about 9 p.m. and without our parents at home, we started feeling scared. Both of us were afraid of the dark. Being the elder one, I decided to gather courage by narrating funny tales to my sister. Both of us were enjoying the stories, but suddenly we heard a sound from the kitchen. The clatter of the utensils made us horrified. Though I pretended to be a bold brother in front of my sister and decided to have a look in the kitchen, then as soon as we opened the door of our room, we found a scary shadow there. My sister stood behind me and started crying as soon as her eyes fall on the glowing eyes of the monster in the dark. I was too terrified to overcome the situation. Exactly at that time, there was a power cut. Then the dreadful situation made both of us terribly scared and we started shouting in fear. When I was searching for something near my hand to protect us from the monster, fortunately I found a wooden stick. In the deep dark night, the glowing eyes started coming nearer. I decided that I will protect my little sister from the monster even at the cost of my own life. Then I hit the monster with my wooden stick and heard a surprising noise. The monster started mewing. At that moment, the electric was restored and we found that it was a black cat, and the blow of my wooden stick injured the cat severely. Finally, we went back to the bedroom. The funny episode had put out all the fear from our mind. Then we both laid down and slowly went off to sleep. That's the ending of question number C. Question number 1D. Express your views either for or against the following topic. Computers and internet hampered the studying hours of students. It is more destructive and less helpful. Students, while we will find these words either for or against, that means it is completely an argumentative composition. In an argumentative composition, we need to provide some logical points which will either support the given statement or it will be against the given statement. And in an argumentative composition, we should mention it clearly whether we are writing in support or against the given statement. So in the beginning, we have to mention the title, and the title would be quietly relative to whether we are writing in support or against the statement. here we are writing in support of the statement. So we have completely mentioned it that for the motion means we are supporting the statement, and the title is pros and cons of computer and internet. So let's start. Computer networks and internet connectivity have changed the face of the modern workplace, allowing users and devices across the globe to interact with each other as if they were located in the same room. But we shouldn't forget that technology comes with both positive as well as its negative impacts on the society. In the world of technology, computer is useful to do our work easily, smoothly and fast. Computer has changed the angle of life. People are using a computer to perform a different task easier. Whether we are studying for a degree, connecting with friends, sending off a job application or watching a video online, the internet can be something that we really rely on. The computer and the internet provided us with increased access to information and knowledge as well as entertainment. However, for all its advantages and positive aspects, the internet and computer have its dark and ugly sides too. Students get addicted to both online and offline computer games. They spoil their valuable studying hours in gossiping and chatting, indulging themselves in Facebook and WhatsApp chatting. Students are likely to neglect their studies and watching online movies for hours. It has provided an easy medium to the children to gain access to pornography, and this can cause them to either become sexually deviant or sexually addictive. Instead of making internet a taboo, we should nurture their benefits. It is important to use computers and the internet wisely, ensuring that we make them work to improve our lives whilst also relaxing and enjoying some of the traditional pleasures this world has to offer, such as appreciating natural beauty or taking the time to write a handwritten letter. Study the picture given below. Write a short story or a description or an account of what it suggests to you. Your composition may be about the subject of the picture, or you may take suggestions from it. However, there must be a clear connection between the picture and your composition. So this is picture composition, and here we can see that there is an elderly woman and some men are carrying him in a cooking utensils, and the other areas are also flooded. So this is a flood scene where we have to describe this story in our own words. We can write our story related to this picture. Now we'll start the solution. While writing a picture composition, in the beginning we must have to be careful about stating a clear connection between the picture and our composition. And here the title is Flood in My Village, so it clearly depicts the connection between the picture. And in the first line we have mentioned that the given picture, so this line is very much important, which states the clear connection between the picture and our composition. Now we'll start. The given picture depicts the tragic scene of flood in an Indian village. It was the rainy season, and for one whole week the rain poured incessantly. The water level in the river rose steadily until the water spilled over, flooding many low-lying areas. My village was one of the areas affected, and we had to move our belongings to higher ground. There we waited for rescue teams to arrive. The whole village was submerged in about 1 meter of water. The currents were swift and merciless, sweeping away livestock and furniture. The rescue team members could be seen busy in evacuating old folks, women, children trapped by water. Local volunteers also helped them a lot. Due to insufficient number of boats, many elderly men and women were rescued in the large cooking utensils. Flood victims were taken to a flood relief center. Here we were given hot drinks, porridge, medicines and milk for the babies. Some had to given clothes and blankets as they couldn't save anything in time. Diseases like cholera, typhoid, spread fast during flood situations. After 1 week, the rain subsided and the flood waters receded. It was such a relief to see the sun again. Flood victims began to move back home to clean up the place as well as to access the damage. So that's the ending of the question number 1E, and now we'll move forward to question number 2. Question number 2. Question number 2 is basically based on letter writing. Here two types of letter will be given. One will be formal letter, another one will be given informal letter. So while writing a letter, we have to maintain the ICSE letter writing format, and for this you can watch out our videos for formal letter and informal letter writing. Here the question is, write a letter to the mayor of the municipal corporation of your city complaining about the miserable condition of roads and insanitary condition of drainage system in your locality. So we have to write the letter to the mayor. That means this is a formal letter. And here we have to mention certain things. The first one will be designation, and next we have to mention the address of the receiver of the letter within 2 lines. So the mayor, Kolkata Municipal Corporation, Kolkata 70012. Next we will leave a single line gap. Then we will write the date on which we are writing the letter. That means suppose today's date is 4th January 2019. So we have to mention 4th January 2019. Next we will leave another single line gap, and there we have written the subject. Students, you know that as we have discussed in our letter writing session, that you can write the subject or you can skip out the subject, and if you don't write the subject in the formal letter, there is no marks deduction for that. So you can write either the subject or not the subject in the formal letter writing. Here we have mentioned the subject. Miserable roads and insanitary condition of drainage system. Now we have to mention the salutation or the greeting line, and in ICSE we have to write dear sir. We cannot write respected sir, and dear sir is the accepted format of formal letter writing in ICSE. So we have to write dear sir, and after that most of the students make the mistake, and I expect that after watching out this video you will not be one of those students who made the common mistakes in letter writing. So after writing dear sir, you must have to add the commas. Dear sir, on behalf of the residents of my area, I hereby inform you about the miserable condition of roads and poor drainage system in our locality. The streets are not swept regularly. The municipal cleaning staff has been disappeared since last 2 months. The piles of garbage can be seen everywhere in our society. Bad smell is arising from these refuges, which cannot be borne by residents. Besides, the roads are broken in several places, so is very dangerous to drive on such roads. The drain water is overflowing from gutters. This water has turned into big ponds. This world's atmosphere may give birth to many dangerous diseases like malaria, dengue and cholera. So, it is our earnest request to you to take necessary steps to look into the matter at your earliest. We are looking forward to your prompt and positive response regarding this matter. Next, we will write the thank you note. Thank you. After this, we will leave a single line gap, and next we will write the subscription and the full signature of the writer. Here the letter is written by Nandini. So, yours sincerely, Nandini Mittal. Students, be careful. Here this word is yours sincerely. Don't mention any kind of apostrophe. If you mention apostrophe after you, then it would be taken as a blunder in letter writing and your marks will be deducted certainly. So yours sincerely, after that mention the comma and write the signature in full. Next we will leave a single line gap, and after this we will write the address of the writer. 10 BT Road, ward number 26, Kolkata 12. Question 2B. For the first time in your life, you have taken part in a drama in the annual program of your school. You have also overcome some of your stage fright. Write a letter to your friend describing your feelings. So as this letter has to be written to your friend, that means this is an informal letter. Here the word FRIGST, fright, means fear. So in this letter you need to share your experience with your friends about your feelings when you have taken part in a stage performance in your school for the first time. In the beginning of an informal letter, we have to mention the address of the writer. Here the address is 135 Gitabitan Road, Kolkata 700012. Next, we mentioned the date of writing. Today's date is 4th January. So we have mentioned 4th January 2019. After this, we will leave a single line gap and we'll have to write the salutation or the greeting line next. So we are writing this letter to Ankit. So you'll write, Dear Ankit, hope you are fine and doing well with your studies. It is long since I got your letter last and I too could not write to you as I was busy with the annual program of my school. Today I intend to share with you my wonderful experience of how did I overcome my stage fright at the program. No one knows me better than you, and being a shy one, I always tried not to be the part of any sports or any stage performance in my school. But this year, none of my excuses could make us stand in front of Soheli Miss, our new dance teacher. This year, Macbeth was to be staged. She selected me for the character of Macduff in the play. The teachers and my friends helped me a lot during rehearsal to learn the perfect dialogues, body language and expressions that are suitable for the character. I remembered the dialogue several times at home, and even at home I enacted the role of Macduff in front of my parents, who motivated me a lot in this regard. This was my first stage performance, so I was feeling nervous on that particular day and was feeling restless to perform on the stage. But finally, I performed extremely well and received applause from the audience. Now I feel as if I am in my seventh heaven. I am sending you herewith the pictures of the event. With regards to your parents and love to you, I end here. Next, we'll leave a single line gap, and after this, we'll mention the subscription. Your loving friend, Sukumar. Question number 3. This section is completely based on notice or email writing. Here, you will be pleased to know that for the notice and email writing, the question will be same. It means if you practice notice writing or email writing, then there is no problem. Or you can practice either the notice writing or the email writing, because the question is completely same for notice and email writing. And my suggestion is that you should attempt notice writing to achieve the maximum marks, because in notice writing there are the marks division for the separate points of the notice, and email writing the marks division is completely less than the notice writing. So it's better to attempt the notice writing in question 3. Here the question is, as the secretary of St. Louis School, write a notice about the visit to the blind school in the neighborhood. So suppose you are the secretary of St. Louis School. Now you have to write a notice for the sake of the students to inform them about your visit to the neighborhood. And while writing the notice, you have to maintain the ICSE pattern for notice writing. The latest pattern given by ICSE is that you have to mention the 5 most essential points of notice writing. Number 1 is exciting and attractive title. Then you have to mention the purpose of writing. Number 3 is exact date of the event. Number 4 is duration of the event, and number 5 is venue or location of the ceremony. That means where the program is to be commenced. In this notice, you are the secretary of St. Louis School. So as a secretary of St. Louis School, you have to ask the student to donate some amount of money which can be used for the welfare of the students of the blind school. So here the title should be Subvention for the Blinds. Purpose of writing is visit to the blind school. Date of the event is on 18th February 2019. Duration of the event is from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And finally, we have to mention the venue or the location, Calcutta Blind School Centenary Building. Students, you should have to learn that we should not mention these points as it is here. You have to just write these blue colored sentences. After a single line gap, now we will write the main subject of the notice. All the students who wish to donate ₹200 and visit the Calcutta Blind School in the neighborhood are to enlist their names and submit the amount to Mr. Saina Agarwal on or before 10th February 2019. Here in this notice, the subject, we have mentioned everything like the amount and to whom their names would be submitted and everything. Next, after a single line gap, we will have to mention the name of the writer and his designation. Here the notice has been provided by the Secretary of St. Louis School. The Secretary is Sukanta Sen, Secretary, St. Louis School. And while you are writing the notice, you have to mention your name here, because in this notice the question is as a secretary of St. Louis School. So while you are writing the notice, you will be the secretary of St. Louis School, and you will have to write your name here, and then you will mention the designation and the name of the school. So that's all. Question 3b. Email writing or electronic mail writing. Write an email to the principal of the blind school in the neighborhood informing them about your visit from school. So students, you can see that the question is same for email or notice writing. So you can practice very carefully the pattern of email writing or notice writing. So this answer has been provided based on the latest email pattern provided by ICSE. The ICSE board has provided you the pattern for the email. So you must have to follow this pattern, otherwise there will be the marks reduction for you. In the beginning, the thing that you need to mention is the email account of the recipient of the email. That means to whom the email has been sent. Next, there will be the purpose of writing. It is followed by the salutation or the greeting line. So you can see that the pattern of letter writing is quite alike to the email writing, but in the beginning there is a little difference. The first one is email account of the recipient, and the second one will be the purpose of writing or the subject. So as this email has been written to the principal of the blind school, will provide the email account of the blind school's principal. So to principal Calcutta Blind School @gmail.com, and here symbolizes the domain name. I hope students you are familiar with this. Gmail is the most familiar Gmail account, so you can provide the Gmail account associated with Gmail. Subject: a visit to forge a friendship. Forge means to create or build. Next, we will provide the salutation or the greeting line. Dear sir, and don't forget to mention this comma. I am Sukanta Sen, the Cultural Secretary of St. Louis School. We wish to visit your institution on 18th February 2019. We have arranged a collection drive for your institution and would be happy if you allow us to contribute to your esteemed institution and join the noble venture and oblige. A team of 50 students and 10 teachers would be visiting your school for 3 hours from 11 am to 2 pm. They are very much excited about the visit. Next, after a single line gap, we will mention the thank you note, anticipating a positive response. Thank you. Once again, we will leave another single line gap and mention the subscription. Yours faithfully. Next, we will mention the full name and designation of the writer, Sukanta Sen, Cultural Secretary. It is followed by the name of the organization, St. Louis School. So that's all about the email writing. And question number 4 is based on comprehension. Here, an unseen passage will be provided, and after reading the passage twice or thrice, you will be able enough to solve the question that will follow. So let's read the passage for the first. Happiness, after all, is an inner state of mind. It is little dependent on outside environment. Happiness has very little to do, for instance, with whether you are rich or not rich. Some of the most miserable persons I have come across in my life are the rich people. It is true that poverty makes one miserable in a very acute way, but my point is that it's not wealth but coordination of one's thought and action which removes inner conflicts. It is in that way that integration of personality is achieved. So in this passage, the writer or the speaker clearly reveals the definition of happiness, which is an inner state of mind. And he also exclaimed that happiness is partially dependent on wealth, but it is mostly dependent on the inner state of mind, and the coordination of one's thought and action is very much essential. And in this way we can achieve the integration of personality. Here the word integration is underlined. That means we have to write the synonym of this word according to this given passage. This is very much important. Most of the students just write the vocabulary meaning of this underlined word, but this is wrong process. And students, you have to write the synonym of this underlined word according to this given passage. Now we will read the next passage. There are quite enough people in India who think that India is obviously the greatest country. In the days when we were politically subjected and could not take much pride in our political condition, we prided ourselves on our spiritual greatness. Having nothing else to get hold of, we took refuge in spirituality. Refuge means shifted. If you go to other countries, I shall not name them as I do not wish to cause offense, you will find the people there think that their country is the chosen country, the torch bearer of civilization, the most advanced country, the most revolutionary country, the country with biggest buildings, the country with something unique, some mission or other. It is natural for one to like one's own country and one's own people. So, in these two passages, the narrator clearly exclaimed that though India is a great country in its bygone time, it does not have anything to be boast of. So, it has shifted to the spirituality or the spiritual ground. And here it's very much clear that one has its greatest feeling for its own country and own people and think that its country is the best. Now we'll read the next passages. It would be unnatural not to do so. It is good to be a little proud of one's own country, but it is wrong to start imagining that we are the highest and the best in the world. The fact is that every country and every people have admirable points about them. They have great achievements to their credit and they have also bad periods in their history. This applies not to countries only, but to individuals. Nobody is perfect. He has weaknesses and failings. Nobody is thoroughly bad either. We are all mixtures of good and evil. But we should try to find out the good in ourselves and in others. Most of you probably did not see Gandhiji at close quarters. He had amazing qualities. One of these qualities was that he managed to draw out the good in another person. The other person may have had plenty of evil in him, but he somehow spotted the good and laid emphasis on that good. So this is one of the most important passage provided in this comprehension. Here the narrator clearly exclaimed that there are some individuals who are quite alike to those people who think that their country is the chosen one, or it's not bad to like one's own country or one's own people, but we should have respect to others feelings and others thought as well. There are bad and good people in this world, so we should not hate the bad people or should not call ourselves the best one. Human is a mixture of good and bad characters. So we should have to lay emphasis on the good character of a man as Gandhiji did in his time. And that quality of Gandhiji made him the greatest leader in the nation. The result was that poor man had to try to be good. He could not help it. He would feel a little ashamed when he did something wrong. We are all much too apt to look at the evil in others, individuals, and countries rather than the good. Perhaps some of you know the saying in the Bible about the person who couldn't see the beam in his own eye and saw the mote in the other's eye. I am sorry if you think I am rambling, but this is, I might inform you, his secret. A very clever attempt to get behind your mind. I am at least being frank with you. So, in the concluding passage, the narrator told us to be optimistic like Gandhiji. And he also had adapted an instance from the Bible and told us that there are some people who always try to find out faults in others, but they never try to look after at their own faults, or they never try to rectify their faults. So it's better to rectify ourselves rather than to find faults in others. That's all that the narrator exclaimed in this passage. Question 4a. Give the meaning of the following words as used in the passage. One word or answers or short phrases will be accepted. Number 1, integration. Integration means unity. Number 2, unique. Unique means unparalleled. Number 3, ashamed. Ashamed means embarrassed. Students, I repeat, you have to write these meanings or the synonyms of these phrases according to the given passage. You cannot write the vocabulary meaning only. If the meaning is appropriate according to the given passage, then only you can write the meaning. Next, question number B. Answer the following questions briefly in your own words. So, students, I suggest you that you should not copy any line from this given passage. If you copy any kinds of passage line, then the examiner will must deduct your marks. So be careful, don't copy any lines from the given passage. Try to answer in your own words. The first question is, what is the secret of genuine happiness? Answer. The secret of genuine happiness lies in the perfect coordination of one's thought and action. True happiness does not depend on money or wealth. It is something that comes deep within. Next question. Why did India take refuge in spirituality? It means why India shifted in spirituality. Answer. Having nothing much to take pride in political supremacy, India had centered around spirituality to take pride. Next question. What does ordinary people do in their interaction with others? Answer. In their interaction with others, ordinary people often find faults in others' characters instead of accepting the good qualities in them. Next question. Nobody is perfect. Elaborate and explain the expression. Answer. The expression suggests that everybody has some good qualities and some bad qualities. Nobody can have absolute good things because all humans have some limitations. Next question. Why does the author refer to the Holy Bible in the context of his analysis? Answer. The author has taken the example of the Bible in order to illustrate that people often find faults in other people or the other nations without understanding the reality behind it. Question 1c. Answer the following questions briefly in your own words. In not more than 60 words, describe the amazing qualities of Gandhiji as mentioned in the passage. So this is summary writing, and here word limit is 60, which is strictly followed by ICSE. If your summary exceeds more than 60 words, then there will be marks deduction. So it is better to make the table and write each of the words of your summary in each of the cells. So we'll make the table. For the first, we will create 5 columns and 12 rows, and then we'll write our answers or the each words in each of the cells of this table. So we'll have to write about the amazing qualities of Gandhiji. So once again we'll read the passage where the amazing qualities of Gandhiji is mentioned, and then we will write the summary. So let's get back to the passage where it is written about the amazing qualities of Gandhiji. This is the passage where we can find there is written about the amazing qualities of Gandhiji. So we'll read this passage once more and then try to answer the question. Just take a screenshot and then read the passage and then try to write the summary in your own words. We have written the summary here. The narrator, who had seen Gandhiji from very close, reveals that he always focused on the good qualities of one, unlike others who emphasize the evil aspect of a person or anybody who boasts of their own. The narrator asks us to be like the father of the nation. One must strive for one's betterment as nobody is perfect. Student, you can write your own summary, and for checking your answer, you can join your Telegram group or doubt group. Question 5a. In the following passage, fill in each of the numbered blanks with the correct form of the word given in brackets. Do not copy the passage but write in correct serial order of the word or phrase appropriate to the blank space. So while writing your answer, you will have to write the serial number of your answer and write your answer vertically so it can become easier for the examiner to check your answer correctly. Student, you should learn that if you write in favor of the examiner, then the examiner would be pleased and would be mentally satisfied. And if the examiner is mentally satisfied, then he will provide you the maximum marks. So write in favor of the examiner. Always maintain this trick to achieve the best marks. Now we'll read the passage and understand in which tense and in which clauses the sentences has given. And after reading the passage twice or thrice, you will be enable yourself to answer the question correctly. And you will have to write vertically. Only the answer number will be written vertically, and then you will write the answers like this. So let's read the passage. He was dash regarded as the dash great musician of Indian cinema. There were days when he had dash sleep in the footpaths. He is an example that if you have talent and are truly dash hard work, you are bound to dash success. He was interested in music since a very young age. He got better with proper dress training. In his initiate days, he struggled a lot, but he does say in an interview that is what made him what he is today. So, after reading the passage, we have understood that the passage has given in past tense. So, we'll answer according to the sentence. He was dash regarded. So he was regarded. Number one answer is regarded. He was regarded as the dash great musician of Indian cinema. Here after dash there is great. So we'll have to write the superlative degree of great, and the superlative degree of great is greatest. So number two answer is greatest. So finally the sentence is he was regarded as the greatest musician of Indian cinema. Next, there were days when he had dash in the footpaths. So there were days when he had to sleep in the footpath. So number three answer is to sleep. Next, he is an example that if you have talent and are truly dash, you are bound to dash. So number four answer is if you have talent and are truly hardworking, you are bound to succeed. He was interested in music since a very young age. He got better with proper dress. He got better with proper training. In his in his initial days, he struggled a lot, but he dashed in an interview. So as the whole passage is given in past tense, so this would be also in past tense. So he said in the interview that is what made him what he is today. So finally we have completed question number 5a. So final trick is read the passage twice or thrice with the verbs or the words given in brackets and try to answer according the clause or according to the tense provided. You need to answer vertically and don't write horizontally. If you write horizontally, it becomes very tough for the examiner to check the paper. So write always in favor of the examiner. Question 5b. Fill in each blank with an appropriate word. Here appropriate word actually means you have to fill up the blanks with absolute preposition or phrasal verbs. Be careful, you have to fill up everything with absolute preposition or phrasal verb. So the more you will practice, the more you will become proficient in this sense. We will understand the number one question with the example. So let's understand the question number one. Adversity brings dash the good qualities of man. Actually brings out means develop, disclose, unwrap, discover or expose. So here in this sense adversity brings out the good qualities of man. It actually is a proverb which means that adversity will develop your good qualities, or if we phrase the troubles, then the troubles or the problems will develop our skills. Another example is add a salt to bring out the flavor of the herbs. The next question is, it is dash my dignity to talk to him. The correct answer is, it is below my dignity to talk to him. Let's understand this with an example. Below or beneath someone's dignity actually means an action that one deems inappropriate and thus would not do. Below my dignity or beneath my dignity is actually the same thing. So here you will understand this with another example. Screaming in public is beneath or below my dignity, but it sounds like not everyone feels the same way. Now move to the next question. Question number 3. In the race he ran dash me. The correct answer is, in the race he ran behind me. You'll understand this with example. Run behind means to follow along behind someone or something while running. We'll understand with another example. She ran behind the taxi, waving frantically for it to stop. Here, frantically means actually madly. The next question is, Ankita will come here latest dash 7 pm. The correct answer is, Ankita will come here latest by 7 pm. Explanation is, latest by actually used in order to indicate that something must happen at or before a particular time and not after that time. Here in this sentence, it means that Ankita will arrive at that place particularly within 7 pm. We'll understand better with another sentence. The sentence is, she should be back here latest by 8 o'clock. That means the girl should reach at that position or at that place within 8 o'clock. The next question is, he made an apology dash his misconduct. Misconduct means misbehavior. So the correct answer is, he made an apology for his misconduct. We'll understand this with the explanation. Here, apology for is actually used for something which is a bad example or something which is bad, or you are regretting for something which is bad. We'll understand it better with another example. You owe him an apology for misjudging him and suspecting his motives at every turn. So you should use apology for when this is an example of something bad or you are regretting for something. Question number 6. Don't look down dash the poor. The correct answer is, don't look down upon the poor. We'll understand through this example. Look down upon is actually used to consider someone or something lesser or inferior in some way. A look down upon means hate. So in this sentence, don't look down upon the poor means that we should not hate the poor. We'll understand this with another example. You must not look down upon parents' advice. Question number 7. The government is now taking dash the sick industry. The correct answer is, the government is now taking over the sick industry. Takeover is actually used to assume control of possession or change of ownership. Here in this sentence, takeover means the government is taking the possession of the sick industry, or the ownership of the companies are changed to the government. We'll understand this with another example. The government was taken over by the rebel forces. That means the rebel forces possessed over the government. The last one is, are you confident that's your project? The correct answer is, are you confident of your project? Confident of actually used for expressing trust about facts or information. Students, there is a confusion in between confident of and confident in. Confident in is actually used for indicating your trust in a person or a group of persons or a procedure. We'll understand better with this example. I feel sure he will pass his exam. I am confident of that. Why? Because I have full confidence in his teacher. One important suggestion for you students, while writing the answers of question number 5b, you write the answers vertically so that the examiner can check your answer easily. And don't forget to mention the question number clearly, because everything depends on the question number. Question number 5C. Join the following sentences to make one complete sentence without using and, but, or, so. That means you have to join the two sentences into a single sentence, but you are not allowed to use these four words and, but, or, and, so. And if you use these four words, then the examiner will certainly deduct your marks. So let's have a look in the first question. He was tired of walking. He sat down to rest under a tree. Now we need to join these two separate sentences into a single sentence, but we are not allowed to use these four words. The answer is being tired of walking, he sat down to rest under a tree. But now we will learn about the uses of being. Being is used to join the two simple sentences into a single simple sentence. The example is he is poor, he cannot buy this car. So this is his inability for buying a car. We can simply use being here for join these two sentences into a single sentence. Being poor, he cannot buy this car. So when you are using being in a sentence, it's becoming a simple sentence. We'll go for the next question. You will be granted justice. I have faith. So we'll have to join these two sentences into a single sentence. Now we'll use that for joining this sentence. That is a conjunction which is used to join two sentences or the two more than two sentences into a complex sentence. Suppose we have done this. He is a liar. I know it. So I can write the answer using that. I know that he is a liar. And here the question was that you will be granted justice. I have faith. So simply I can write I have faith that you will be granted justice. The next question. Go quickly. You will else be late. So here I can see that there is a possibility or there is a condition. So if you don't go quickly, you will become late. So we can use if for joining this sentence, but first of all we need to learn about the use of if. We often use if to introduce possible or impossible situations or conditions and their results. Suppose this is the sentence and we need to join this sentence. You will be punished, you do it. So this is a condition. You will be punished. There is a condition when you will be punished. If you do it, then you will be punished. So this is a conditional sentence. So now our question was go quickly, you will else be late. So there is a condition or there is a possibility. So we can simply write the answer using if. If you do not go quickly, then you will be late. The next question is she was ill, she attended the school. Now there is a contrast in between this situation. If someone is ill, naturally she does not wish to go to school, but she attended the school. So we can simply write the answer using though. The correct answer is though she was ill, she attended the school. Question number 5D. Question number 5D is basically based on transformation of sentence. Before reading the instruction, we will know what is transformation of sentence. Sentences can be classified into affirmative, negative, imperative, interrogative, assertive or declarative, and exclamatory sentences. The other parts of transformation of sentences are simple, complex, and compound sentences. Next, there is degree change. There are three types of degrees: positive, comparative, and superlative. Next, there is direct or indirect speech and voice change, active and passive voice. So our function in question number 5D will be we have to transform these sentences without changing the meaning of the each sentences. That means here one sentences or one form will be given, we have to change it from its to its another form. So this process is known as transformation of sentence. Now we'll read the instruction. Rewrite the following sentences according to the instruction given. After each, make other changes that may be necessary, but do not change the meaning of the sentences. So within this bracket, the instructions are given. We just need to change it from one form to another, but we are not allowed to change the main meaning of the sentences. So let's start. Question number 5D1. As soon as I rang the bell, the man came. The correct answer is no sooner did I ring the bell than the man came. Now we'll understand it with this explanation. As soon as is basically used in affirmative or positive sentences, which becomes no sooner had in the negative one. Let's understand this with this example. The positive sentence was as soon as he came, the student stood up. This one is positive sentence and it becomes negative. The answer is no sooner had he come than the student stood up. We can also use this no sooner did. So the answer using no sooner did is no sooner did he come than the student stood up. But when we need to use no sooner had or when we need to use no sooner did, if we use no sooner had, then we have to use the verb third form, and if we use no sooner did, then we need to use the verbs first form. But here come and come, these two look same. We'll understand this with the next example. As soon as I rang the bell, the man came. The answer using no sooner did is no sooner did I ring the bell. So when we'll use did, next we have to use the verb first form or the base form of the verb. So with did we'll have to use the V1 form or the base form of the verb. So the base form is ring. No sooner did I ring the bell than the man came. You know the base form ring, it becomes rang in V2 form, and its V3 is rung, RUNG. So this one is V1, this one is V2, and this one is V3. So while we will use no sooner did, we'll have to the base form of the V1 form, and while we'll use no sooner had, then we'll use the verb third form or the past participle form rang. So while we'll write the answer using no sooner had, then we'll use the verb third form. So using no sooner had, the correct answer will be no sooner had I rang the bell than the man came. And no sooner did, the answer is no sooner did I ring the bell than the man came. The second question is, it is never too late to mend. Begin with, it is not so. Students, when there will be TW2 and TO2 together, that means we will have to transform this sentence using so that. Now understand the use of so that with the answer. It is not so late that it cannot be mended. Students, so you can see that while we are transforming it TO2 and TO2 using so that, the sentence is becoming negative. Now we will understand the use of so that with this example. TO2 is used in the affirmative sentence, which is become so that in the negative one. So the affirmative sentence here was Alex is too weak to work, and if we turn it in negative using so that, then the sentence or the answer would become Alex is so weak that he cannot work. Here why we have used he, because the substitute of the noun is he is used here. So the final answer is Alex is so weak that he cannot work. We can understand it with the next example. It is never too late to mend. So the final answer is it is never so late that it cannot be mended. The next question is, though he is poor, he is content. Begin with in spite of. The correct answer is in spite of his poverty, he is content. We'll understand the use of in spite of with this explanation. Though or although is used in complex sentence, and it becomes in spite of or despite in simple sentence, and but is used in compound sentence. That means if we have to transform the complex sentence into the simple sentence using in spite of, then we'll have to use the in spite of, and in complex sentence there will be though or although. But if we have to transform the complex sentence where there is though and although, we'll have to use but for the compound sentences. So let's understand this with these examples. In complex sentence, the question is, though he tried hard, he failed. Now, in spite of will be used in simple sentence, and the sentence will become, in spite of trying hard, he failed. So, while we are using in spite of, we are using actually the participle form of the main verb. Here, tried, and it is becoming trying. So, in spite of trying hard, he failed. And the compound one is, he tried hard but failed. So, but is used in compound sentence, in spite of for simple sentence, and though or although is used in the complex sentence. Now we'll move to the next question. The next question is, he is not the best boy in the class. Use very few. The answer is, very few boys in the class are so good as he is. Now we'll understand the use of very few with this example. The question is, Bangladesh is not the smallest country in the world. So here we can see that there is smallest. So this is in superlative degree. While we are writing the answer using very few, it is becoming very few countries in the world are as small as Bangladesh. So while we will use very few, we will have to use the plural form, and while you are using it in the superlative form, then we will use the singular form. Now we'll understand better with the next example. He is not the best boy in the class. Now this type of question will be transformed into positive using very few. So you can write very few boys. So after very few, we will always use the plural form. So very few boys in the class are as good as he, because the superlative form is best, the comparative form is better, and the positive form is good. So the final answer is, very few boys in the class are as good as he is. The next question is, they proposed to hold a meeting. We'll have to begin it with it was. The answer is, it was proposed to hold a meeting. Next, there is direct indirect speech, that means narration. Can I see the manager? I said. So you can see there is inverted commas and question mark. That means this is interrogative sentence in the direct speech. Now we'll have to turn it into the indirect speech. So while there is interrogative sentence in the direct speech and we are transforming it into indirect speech, we will have to use asked. So I asked, and there is no question word, there is modal can, so we'll use if. I asked if I could see the manager. As there is said, this is past tense, so we'll have to use the past tense of can, so it will become could. So the final answer is, I asked if I could see the manager. Next, there is the next question is, I have not seen him for 7 years. Use since. So we'll have to write it using since. The final answer is, 7 years have passed since I saw him. The next question is, I was quite well so long as I stayed at Puri. Begin with during my. The final answer is, during my stay at Puri, I was quite well. So that's all, students. That is the main part of your language paper, the transformation of sentence, one of the main part of language paper. And here you can see there is 8 marks. So practice more and more for your improvement. Transformation of sentence is very much important for your exam. So all the best, students, and thank you all for watching this video. On behalf of all the members, I thank you, students. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned. Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and subscribe our channel now. If you have already subscribed, thanks for subscription, and stay with us for your better future.